We have developed speed, but we have shut ourselves in. Machinery that gives abundance has left us in want. We have developed speed. We think too much and feel too little. More than machinery, we need humanity.
We know the air is unfit to breathe and our food is unfit to eat. As if that's the way it's supposed to be. We know things are bad, worse than bad. They're crazy.
Silence! The great and powerful Oz knows why you have come.
You've got to say, I'm a human being. God damn it. My life has value.
You have meddled with the primal forces of nature.
Don't give yourselves to brutes, men who despise you, enslave you, who regiment your lives, tell you what to do, what to think, or what to feel, who drill you, diet you, treat you like cattle, use you as cannon fodder. Don't give yourselves to these unnatural men with machine minds and machine hearts.
And now, Reality Rants with Jason Bermas.
And who loves you? And who do you love?
Hey everybody, Jason Bermas here for those that don't know, and I'm just asking questions. What do you guys think? Should we change the intro up? I do love that intro. I know it says Reality Rants. We do rant here a lot. We are going back to the format of several videos on specific subjects. At least 3 a day is what I'm shooting for. So in order to do that, I am going to need your help. Please consider checking out that Buy Me Coffee. I do want to thank everybody right out of the gates who has already donated today. Elisha Kramer said he was looking forward to returning to the previous formats. Cry USA, what's up? How we doing? I want to thank you guys for supporting the broadcast. And we're going to talk about the Bilderberg Group, specifically Jens Stoltenberg being named as the new co-chair on the heels of him leaving NATO, and why I think this is extremely significant. I think it is a move that shows several motivations, and we're going to get into those throughout the video. Again, get your questions and comments in now, and then after we go over Bilderberg and what I feel is coming up in 2025, because clearly, you know, if you don't know Jens Stoltenberg, this guy was so behind the Ukraine narrative and continues to be, right? Obviously, NATO is that driving force. Ukraine has to join NATO. We have to stop Russia, blah, 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 blah. And this appointment just shows you how influential, connected, powerful he is, and how much influence NATO is really going to continue to wield despite Trump coming in there. And before we, get into just my opinions, I'm going to read an entire article, and I'm going to tell you how we got there. Now, once again, you can check out that. So, day after Christmas, I see that it's being reported on that Jens Stoltenberg is going to lead the steering committee. He's going to chair it. If you read a little deeper, he's going to co-chair it. There you have Peter Thiel. You see Donnie T. They're talking about the second Trump presidency. And what I think people need to understand is that these people will maneuver in certain ways. They don't just give up. They see a roadblock and they go around it, all right? And they try to still put people in there that are valuable to different aspects of their agenda. They realize, like with Trump, there are certain things they just do not like as globalists, right? But Donald Trump, again, Jared Kushner, Bilderberg, Pompeo, while he was in the Trump administration, Thiel. Thiel is like the guy. And when we talk about security, defense, Palantir, Rumble, these are just part of the things that we have to really pay attention to with a guy like Peter Thiel. So I see that, and I go to the article. This article is super extensive, really done well, by the way. It shows how far we've come from just railing on people, daring to talk about this group as if they're powerful, because they are. See how long this is? And to how it's now very obvious that these people wield significant power within the global order and power structure. Okay? What I didn't realize is this was actually a pretty much a rewrite of a story written by my man, Charlie Skelton. Now, Charlie is in my film, Shade the Motion Picture. I consider him a very good friend and a good man, a comedian, really by trade. And you know, I like my comedians, man. I like laughing. One of the things we like to do here on the show is have comedians on. Kurt Metzger is one of my favorite guests because it's nice to kind of observe the absurdity of it all. However, he's really become an extremely accomplished journalist in this regard. So thumbs it up, subscribe, share, ring the bells, go check out the Rockfin, the Twitter, the Rumble, everything. Clip the shows, share them, support the broadcast and the links. Let's get her started. And remember, get your questions and comments in, and we will shift to those after we read this article right here and kind of go over what I think this move actually means. The former head of NATO, Jens Stoltenberg, has been named the new co-chair of the influential Bilderberg Group, which convenes a yearly transatlantic policy conference and has been the subject of conspiracy theories around the extent of its power to shape global events. After a turbulent decade at the helm of the alliance's military, Stoltenberg now takes over as its preeminent discussion forum, a fiercely private 4-day event frequented by prime ministers, EU commissioners, bank bosses, corporate CEOs, and intelligence chiefs. And add to that everything AI at this point, because the AI is exploding. And remember, you see that commentary of the post-truth world, and that comes directly from one of the main talking points or subjects of the Bilderberg Group, which they put out themselves. And again, those type of bullet points really only started coming out after there was pressure put on the group to be like, hey, stop treating us like children. I mean, they still continue to do so, but not to as severe an extent, if you will. Okay? Stoltenberg's first Bilderberg was back in 2002, a few years before his second tenure as Norway's prime minister. His decade as Secretary General of NATO saw further visits. They sure did. And he even gave the keynote speech at the group's Saturday night banquet in Turin in 2018. His appointment as Bilderberg's co-chair cements the group role as the heart of the transatlantic strategy, 100%. And to me, this shows that this agenda, whether it be Ukraine or otherwise, is going nowhere. And these people are going to try to navigate this no matter what and try to accelerate that path. In February, Stoltenberg will also take over as chief of the Munich Security Conference, another important defense and diplomacy symposium, with a fellow Bilderberg veteran, the former Dutch Prime Minister Mark Rutte. Replacing Stoltenberg at NATO, it marks a concentration of control at the top of the Atlantic Alliance at a critical time. Okay, see that? He's, again, another Bilderberg guy is replacing him. Stoltenberg's tenure at NATO was dominated by the Russia-Ukraine conflict, which had begun in earnest not long before he took office in 2014. This is the guy. This is the ins and outs guy, okay? That's it. It's, right? I mean, they put it in your face, and God bless people like Charlie Skelton that are simply putting this out and analyzing it in a common sense manner, because we don't have that in our Western media in most cases. Wait, where was this story in the United States? Hey, CNN, your ratings are absolute garbage. Maybe it's time talking about subjects like this, subjects that matter. Okay? Just pointing that out. Stoltenberg oversaw what he recently described as the largest reinforcement of our collective defense in a generation. noting proudly that defense spending is on an upward trajectory across the alliance. And look, that's one of Trump's big problems is like he'll write the blank checks and he's just like rebuilding the military, doing great. Where is the oversight? Because with these type of things, we need oversight, right? A number of his new colleagues at Bilderberg have been benefiting from this uptick. Several of the group's 31-member steering committee, remember, these are the core members. I always talk about the 25 plus. That's who I'm talking about. The 25 plus core members of that steering committee that go every single year. He's now at the apex of that. Right? Because you got, like somewhere between 120, 140 members on the list, and they usually sneak in about 2-3 other people. You love that, don't you? Several of the group's 31-member steering committee has senior roles in the defense industry. The billionaire, former Google boss Eric Schmidt, chaired the recent National Security Commission on AI, sure did, and is now busy launching a kamikaze drone company aimed at the lucrative Ukraine market. Meanwhile, the hugely wealthy Swedish industrial Marcus Wallenberg is chair of defense manufacturer Saab, which enjoys a 71% boost in orders in the first 9 months of 2024, largely due to war with Russia. And we've been talking about this. They've been ching, 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 diddly-inging in this war. And when I say they, the Raytheons, the Lockheeds, the Boeings, the SpaceXs of the world. The tech luminary and Donald Trump insider Peter Thiel founded the fast-growing robotics company Anduril and the booming surveillance and AI giant Palantir. His loyal lieutenant Alex Karp, the CEO of Palantir, was voted onto the board of Bilderberg a few years ago. Karp, who claims his company is responsible for the most of the targeting in Ukraine, recently told the New York Times that the U.S. will very likely soon be fighting a 3-front war with China, Russia, and Iran. His words. Karp is a lunatic. Okay? Karp is a lunatic. And he's subservient, and he's loyal, and he's good at keeping to his talking points, and he's very fervent. Basically of what you should really just call, U.S. global supremacy, no matter what. It's not even just U.S. It's really U.S. and the interests, right? Obviously, Five Eyes is going to be a part of that when you're talking about Palantir, etc. I mean, Charlie's killing it on this article. We've done a whole watch along with Karp over at the WEF, talking there, okay? So let's continue. In some respects, the geopolitical mood today is not so different from how it was in the 1950s when Bilderberg was born. Top of the agenda at the first meeting in 1954 was the attitude towards communism in the Soviet Union, with the strictly confidential conference report referring repeatedly to the communist threat. 70 years later, at the most recent summit in Madrid, the primary threat is Russia, which sat grimly at the foot of the conference agenda underneath Ukraine and the world, and the future of warfare. I don't even want to scrape what I could talk about with the future of warfare. Again, thumbs it up, subscribe, share, get your questions and comments in. We're going to go to you at the end of this. In 1954, the alliance was facing the emergence of communist imperialism. In 2024, it's up against what Stenberg calls the emerging axes of autocrats, headed by Russia, China, and North Korea. Stoltenberg and his successor as Secretary General, Root, were both at this summer's Madrid meeting. Joining them in the conference hall were a clutch of high-up Pentagon officials and NATO's second most senior military leader, U.S. General Chris Cavalli, the Supreme Allied Commander of Europe. It was Cavalli's second conference, and he's not the first Sakria to attend the talks. They've been coming along to strategize since the mid-'60s, and this is why Bilderberg has been a focal point of my work. Okay? I mean, Bilderberg has always had close links with the military Its founders included senior members of British and American intelligence, and a previous NATO leader, Lord Carrington, chaired the group from 1990 to 1998. Here's where it gets fun. Even the shamefaced resignation of its founding chair, Prince Bernhard of the Netherlands, had a military twist. He was caught up in the Lockheed bribery scandal of 1976, the only year pre-COVID that the conference was canceled. That's right, too much of a scandal, and it's telling that arguably the most dominant figure at Bilderberg in the last several decades was the grand strategist and warmonger Henry Kissinger, who was lauded as a foreign policy genius by some and despised as a mass-murdering war criminal by others. Somebody who would put him in the foreign policy genius position would be people like Eric Schmidt, who we discussed before, who wrote his last book with Kissinger and went on like the talk show, like this type of circuit about it on artificial intelligence. Called him his best friend. Okay? Schmidt. I mean, Kissinger for his day, I mean, you're talking about a high-level captain in the New World Order and in the geopolitical arena. I mean, he was the top guy for David Rockefeller. Top dude. Bilderberg thrives on discreet diplomacy, elite networking, and intelligence. A former chief of the MI6, Sir John Sawyers, is a member of the group's steering committee and the current head of the CIA. William Burns was a member before quietly resigning when he took office. Oh. Oh. I almost thought, I feel like I reported that Burns went one year when he was in the CIA as the head of the CIA. I could be wrong about that. I don't know. But the arrival of Stoltenberg might signal a sea change. It's a big name appointment and follows the recent election of the high-profile CNN interviewer Fareed Zakaria to the group's steering committee, perhaps signaling a shift out of the shadows for the publicity-shy group. And Fareed's been going there for a very long time. In fact, one of the features in Invisible Empire and New World Order Defined is we show Barack Obama reading one of Fareed Zakaria's book when the Barack star was essentially anointed at Bilderberg in 2008, I believe. Take that as you will, folks. You should go watch the film if you have any doubt of what I just said. We document it pretty thoroughly. Again, I've been talking about this for a while because it's really important. Bilderberg hasn't held a press conference for decades, but the urbane politician Stoltenberg is far more used to media briefings, the Q&As, than the man he replaces, the Dutch economist and Goldman Sachs advisor Victor Halberstadt, who died in September. In fact, Stoltenberg has already made a statement to the press about his new role, telling the Norwegian newspaper Dagens Næringsliv that Bilderberg, together with the Munich Security Conference, is a good platform for cooperation between leaders in the political arena, business, and the academic world. If Stoltenberg is hoping to steer Bilderberg towards a little more engagement with the press, he might hope to get a helping hand from his co-chair, Mary-José Kravis, who sits on the board of Publicis, one of the world's largest PR and communications companies. Man, just once again, Charlie Skelton doing the Lord's work. It will have to wait until Stoltenberg's first conference as Bilderberg's co-chair to find out if he's shaking up the group's publicity policy. This will, appropriately enough, be in Sweden. While at NATO, Stoltenberg welcomed 4 new members to the alliance, and Sweden was the most recent. The chief negotiator for Sweden's ascension to NATO, Oscar Stenström, was spotted hovering around the fringes of this year's Bilderberg conference in Madrid. See how that works? Those are the side. That's the Barack star not on the list. This guy not on the list. These are the sub meetings. See how that works? A little dicka-dicka-doo. A little whip-a-doop-a-doo. Oh! Remember when Harari just showed up out of nowhere? I think, what was it, the Portugal one? He goes, wow! Just happened to be there. He is helping to organize next year's summit in Stockholm on behalf of his new boss, the billionaire Wallenberg. The Wallenberg family conveniently own the venue, the magnificent Grand Hotel, which will be cordoned off in mid-June for the event. Now, I wonder, do they have a date for that mid-June? Because sometimes they go as soon as mid-May. And I really think, depending on what Trumpsky and Hutch and what's going on not only with Ukraine and Russia and NATO, but also the Middle East, they may want it sooner than later. But I don't know. Let's keep going. What we know for sure is that Stoltenberg, in his new role, will be laser focused, like one of Schmidt's kamikaze drones, on strengthening transatlantic ties, which may not be entirely straightforward, with Trump back in the White House and U.S. foreign policy shaping up to be the America First agenda. Writing the Financial Times last month, Stoltenberg noted that Trump's campaign rhetoric has raised legitimate concerns about his commitment to European security. That said, Stoltenberg knows that however tricky things get with Trump, he gets a hotline to the White House through Thiel. Okay? The incoming vice president, J.D. Vance, used to work for Thiel at Midhill Capital, and a healthy handful of Thiel's tech network are lined up for senior posts in the second Trump administration. You better believe it. You better believe it. But that's the thing with the studiously bipartisan Bilderberg. They've always got somebody on the inside, whoever wins. For example, Karp, Thiel's CEO at Palantir, was a big backer of Kamala Harris. Looking down the steering committee, Nada Shadlov is Trump's former deputy national security advisor, while Abrams is a high-profile Democratic politician and activist. That's Stacey Abrams he's talking about. Stoltenberg, op-ed in the Financial Times last month, stressed the bipartisan nature of the transatlantic alliance. Support for and pride in the most powerful military alliance in the world has ever seen remains strong across the political spectrum. The former NATO chief was carefully welcoming of Trump's 2.0. His strategy, simply, we need to invest in more defense, more money, of course, in order to remind the incoming administration that far from being a burden, the transatlantic relationship is a key strategic asset in the era of great power competition. So, all of the high finance, high rollers who get invited to Stoltenberg's Bilderberg can expect to get the hard sell on military defense investment. Now's the time for Jens to get networking and glad-handing in the transatlantic wings, keeping the war on the road, the alliance strong, and his military tech billions flowing. My man, killing it. Killing it. Love it. Good job, Charlie. All right, we're going to go to the questions and comments. Once again, thumbs up, subscribe, share. Links are down below. Where are we here? I think it's right here. Let's see what we got. There we go. There we got him in there. Let's see. Stoltenberg's dead eyes. Haha. How we doing, Flick Off? Always good to see you. The intro's classic. Don't change a thing. You love that intro? Okay. Intro's a bit too long, but you should keep it because it's good. Okay. It doesn't seem to hurt. You know, if people don't catch it live, they can always skip over it, right? Present, and then that's the thing. It usually takes a couple minutes for people to get in on the thing, and most people watch it on the replays anyway. Blah, 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 blah. Don't change it. Let's see. Long question for the AMA. What happened to Luke? Is it audience capture or what? He went from an incredible on-the-ground independent journalist to a clickbait right-wing pundit. Luke actually, when was the last time? I think like 3-4 months ago, he asked me to come down to Miami. I've caught some of his stuff. I still love Luke. Obviously, we differ on opinions on all this stuff. Here's my deal, guys. Like, I can't just hate on my friend because, I may disagree with what he says. And I'm just going to be honest. I have no idea what his finances are or anything like that, or if that works into any kind of decision on him. I'll move myself over just slightly. But, I'll be real honest with you. Ever since I lost my gig over at TNT, right? Guys, I'm scraping by. Like, the last couple months have been really, really, really rough. And it's like, this is not an easy arena to monetize. And maybe he just has changed his political views, you know? You look at somebody like Paul Joseph Watson, he's gone way more mainline. I understand that Greg Reese has recently left InfoWars. I'm not here to bash InfoWars at all. You know, they can do their thing. Look, I can only be in charge of what I do. And if you watch my shows, whether it be the Patriot TV show, which is still on, we'll be returning after the first week in January live, but you can check that out 5 p.m. Eastern over at patriot.tv every weekday. You know, like when I'm with Zach Payne, we get to do news stories and things of that nature. Otherwise, it's an interview-driven show. I try to not be too judgmental anymore. But, you know, I only hope and wish Luke the best, and I only hope that when the time comes to challenge the Muscardoo, some policy in the Trump administration, etc., that ability is there. It seems like the H-1B thing. Well, finally, those guys can start talking about the Muscardoo or this and that. But, to me, like, let's be real. Like, that's the least of our concerns, right? Like, to me, anyway. Like, if you watched my video earlier, like, it's a minor concern at best. I stopped following him this year after a decade. Man, that bad, huh? Yikes. Luke became a t-shirt salesman just like the Ramones. I love the Ramones, and I love Ramones t-shirts. It's Tima Schillis. Listen, let me give you a little heads up on that. In my car right now, just to give you an example, this is why, I need your support. Again, there's the buy me a coffee at the bottom. So I approached, that's not what I wanted to do. I approached my company, not the one that went out, but the one I'm currently working for, before, let's just say, some setbacks in the company, because I could see those setbacks coming, right? And did everything I could to try to push them in the direction of, for instance, Patriot.tv is owned by CBMJ, which is Christian Broadcast Media and Journalism. They have Western Journal. I think some of the stories they do are good, and some of those stories I'd like to cover. There should be an integration there. They should be posting our stuff. We should be having them on. Haven't been able to make that happen, unfortunately. I've talked about what I did with RVM, where on top of the shows, if you subscribe to a certain thing, I would provide such and such every couple of weeks, bonus content, but I need them to get behind it and be able to post, and it just doesn't seem like it's going to come to fruition. What they constantly want to do are things like affiliate links and merchandise. And there's a package sitting in my car right now that I didn't even open it. It seems to be some clothes. I have told them many times, I don't want to sell my name. I don't want to sell my face. First of all, it's not what I'm about. I'm not saying that could never, ever happen. But not only am I not on the level that you need to be to do those sorts of things, I think it cheapens it when you like it. Like, it's just not, look, you know the deal. You want to support the broadcast. You like the reporting. That's what we're selling here. We're selling honesty. And like I said, I tried to get them to do more content and things. They want affiliate links. They want merchandising. I've seen what happens with that in the past. And you need to in order for those things to work, you need to be at a tremendous audience level for that to work, period. But I digress. I'm going to stop ranting and raving. Let's see. Obama Saya. Now it's Trump Pula. I guess what's up, Berman is pumping them out tonight. The Sanity Third Agenda, the technocracy is about to hit warp speed. The tech stuff's moving at an incredible pace. I agree there. Do a video on China's meta pneumonia detection device. Okay? Send me some information on it. Let's all wish Bebe good luck with his prostate cancer surgery. Who's that? Hopefully he's not in as much pain when he's sitting in the dock at The Hague. Oh, is that Bibby you're saying? Did he get diagnosed? Yeah, he did, didn't he? Didn't we report on that? Forgot about that. Okay, so let's see. What do we got here? Yeah, it's going to be a quick AMA for sure. I mean, we already talked almost 30 minutes, right? Like, this was really more about Bilderberg. This was, Charlie Skelton's time to shine. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, this arena is extremely difficult. I can't even tell you how much, my niece's volleyball alone is costing me coming up in the next just like 48 hours. It's ridiculous. But again, trying to give them every opportunity I can. I hear you, bro. I literally for pennies. Luke was the only part of Tim Pool worth watching. Yep. Reese right on a lot of things. Jones has turned into a total establishment bootlicking shill, in my humble opinion. I don't agree with that. Musk is a super duper defense contractor. Correct. Yes, sir. I give Luke shit all day long, but that's because I know he knows better. Perhaps someday he'll come back around. Probably is. What's that? Let's see. They'll lose all credibility the more they latch on to Trump. It depends on how successful this presidency is. I'm not a doom and gloomer. We got to take some wins too. Keep your intro. It's a classic. Thank you. I said that kind of comment about the Ramones being a t-shirt salesman on the show where David Devine was a guest. I didn't know he was in the Ramones, so it was twice as funny. I don't think Luke has changed all that much. He just has more silly stuff on his show than in the past. Get on Pilled Foxhole Network. I don't know what that is. Your work in transhumanism is only going to become more relevant. Keep up the good work and people will come. I agree, and I think that the transhumanism stuff is some of the most important stuff out there. Thank you, Flick, for saying that. Open up the Bermas stimulator shop to sell the rubber tip stimulator that the drugstores don't sell anymore. All right, folks, you know the drill. The links are down below. We're doing it several times a day. It ain't about left or right. It is always about right and wrong. I absolutely love you guys, and we will see you on the flip side.